Hi guys, I'm Linda.
And I'm Vicky.
And we are Partners in Crime. So today I wanted to talk about Susan Powell, another missing person. This case, it is 10 years since Susan has gone missing, and I was watching something that Nate Eaton posted on East Idaho News. He did interview Dave Cowley. He's a reporter for KLS, and he actually has a podcast about this case specifically, and it's called Cold. So I will put the link in the description so you can check it out. And I just wanted to go bring this back to people's attention because this is another really crazy case. It is up in the Utah area as well. They are LDS, or they were LDS. So there are kind of some, not similarities, but it's just in that general area that we have the case that's going on now. So I just wanted to, again, bring that to everyone's attention. Maybe, who knows, we might be able to find Susan, and we're hoping for that type of thing if we can get that. Dave did say he thinks that Susan might be in Idaho, and he has reasons for that. This podcast, it looks like it's pretty long and detailed, so what I wanted to start was a series on Susan Powell and just start talking about them, the relationship, what happened. So right now I'm just going to talk about what happened just in case people aren't familiar with the case. So in December of 2009, she disappeared in Utah. She was married to Josh Powell, and they had 2 children, Charlie and Braden. The way that this came about as a missing persons case was daycare. The kids were not in daycare, and then the family members didn't hear from Susan. So they went to the home, and they didn't find anyone. Well, later that evening, Josh came home with the boys, and he said they were camping. Well, it was in December. Up there it's very cold, and there was snow. It was a snowy day. So for him to take the boys camping was very strange. And I believe Charlie was the older one. He was 5 at that point. I don't know how old Braden was, but he was probably at least 3. The investigation went on for 2 years all across the western United States, and they never found Susan. Their sons lived with Josh in Washington, where he lived with his father, Steve. They were taken away from Josh when his father was arrested on child pornography and voyeurism. Mm-hmm. He was filming his next door neighbor's girls, underage girls, in their bathrooms. So John's father, Steve, was also on tape saying that he had feelings for Susan. I'm sorry if I keep saying Suzanne. I apologize because I have Suzanne Morphew on the brain. Susan.
He was obsessed with her.
And wrote songs about her as well.
He really was. So
Steve was being looked at in the investigation while it was going on, but he died in prison in the summer of 2018 of a heart attack. During an interview with Detective Kim Watley, it was March 10th of 2010, their son Charlie said a couple of strange things. She was trying to talk about his mom and ask him about his mom and where she is and that sort of thing. Charlie said, "We can't talk about Susan or camping." He also said it's okay for him to keep a secret because they are doing blessings. And then, of course, Kim was saying it's not good to keep secrets and stuff, but he kept saying he could keep secrets.
I also heard, and you might be getting to this, that the little boy had said Mommy went with them, but she's in the trunk.
Oh, no, I didn't get to that part yet. So, yeah, he said that his mom got lost camping. He kept saying his brain told him to say something or not to say something. That is strange. I mean, he's little, he's 5, but he keeps saying, my brain won't let me say that, or my brain said that. So who is his brain? Is his dad saying he's his brain? I don't know. Charlie said he thinks Susan is in the North Pole. She went there and can't find her way back. And then he also said that his dad told him that she has to wait until it stops snowing for her to come back. So I believe these are the thoughts that he was, Jason was putting into, or Josh, I apologize, Josh was putting into his son's head.
How awful.
So when the investigators did ask him.
You know, to travel with probably a deceased mother in the car.
Yeah.
And to prompt this little boy to say these things. And, you know, he was little. He didn't know.
He didn't know.
You know, just terrible.
On February 5th of 2012, Josh killed himself and his sons. The court authorized a visit for Josh to see his sons. The social worker, Elizabeth Griffin Hall, who was the visitation supervisor, brought the kids to see their dad at his home. The boys ran ahead of her, happy to see their dad, so they ran ahead. Josh then slammed the door and locked it on Elizabeth. She couldn't get in. She heard a boy crying, and she smelled gasoline, so she called 911. It took the police department and the fire department a while to get there, whoever the emergency services to get there. Josh did attack the boys with a hatchet and then set fire to the home. Susan's parents did sue the state of Washington and fought for years in court to show the state was negligent in putting the unification with the father ahead of the boys' safety. So that's why he was able to see them. So it's just tragic.
Horrible.
On every level. And I guess his father never said anything. He was still in jail, but they never got anything from the father.
He was a mess, and there is some belief that his father and his brother helped Josh in some way dispose of Susan's body.
Yeah.
So, I never know.
Yeah, the civil trial started in February and it just ended because of COVID. The state of Washington has to pay Susan's parents $98.5 million. So that was the settlement for that case. It was a civil case. Now, Dave said that it is possible, like I said in the beginning, that Susan's body is in Idaho. When the police had a search warrant for Josh's minivan, Josh rented a vehicle. He was missing for 18 hours and no one knows where he went, but put 807 miles on the vehicle in that time. So he drove probably the whole time. When he came back on the grid by turning on his cell phone, he was driving south into Utah from Tremont, Utah. So he was driving south from Tremont, Utah. And north of that is Idaho. So Dave said basically there isn't anything between Tremont and Idaho. So if you're coming south, you were in Idaho before you hit Tremont. When he came, there was a tracking device put on Josh's minivan after that point. And on December 18th of 2009, when Josh was driving to his father's house in Washington, in the middle of the night, he made 2 stops on I-84 between the towns of Burley and Bliss. The first stop is for 10 minutes before, and he was before 2 a.m. He then drives 7 miles to the west at the bridge for the Gooding-Milner Canal and stops there for 5 minutes. So he's wondering if something didn't happen at that point, maybe that's where Susan was and he was, we just don't know, you know, because this is only probably a couple weeks after she went missing. So maybe he had her somewhere and then put her somewhere else. So neither of the stops were investigated, though. That's the thing. Police did not investigate those 2 stops. Josh did make a comment about the time he was missing and said he had an interaction with a gas station attendant. That attendant has not come forward to date. So within those travels, he did talk to a gas station attendant, but that person has never come forward.
How did Josh know if the police didn't investigate those stops? How did he know about it? Dave, rather. Not Josh.
Probably from the tracking device in the car. So they did know about it. The police knew about it. They just didn't investigate it. They didn't look into it any further.
But, okay, so they reported it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, from the vehicle.
That was dumb.
Yeah.
You know, why didn't they? You would think they would search every avenue, everywhere they could.
Yeah.
Or at least investigate.
Right.
Find out what was going on.
So Dave did actually talk to Josh's first girlfriend. Her name is Catherine Everett, and this is the first time she actually spoke out about Josh. Catherine said Josh didn't want her to have any friends, just him. Josh controlled with isolation. He could have a cell phone, but she couldn't have a cell phone, and he was the one that controlled the money. Catherine was kept on a short leash, but she didn't realize it when she was in the middle of it. Until she got out of the relationship, she realized that she actually was.
Right. Susan had complained about him being that way with her.
And like I said, there's a lot more to these stories, so we're going to delve into, you know, everything Dave looked into. Her father, Susan's father, and this is just something strange because I did bring up the other case up that way. Susan's father, Chuck Cox,
what's with that name?
felt that Josh was shopping in the LDS area for young girls who believe in happy marriages and listening to their husbands. So he thinks that when he met Susan, that he was looking for someone like Susan because she was the eternal optimist. She just wanted a happy family and, you know, have their religion and that sort of thing. So that's what I looked into at this point. Like I said, I'm going to continue to work on this, and we're going to do a series about the information that has been put out there. Another crazy case. It is cold, so who knows? Bringing this to the forefront again, somebody might see something might be remembered, and then it takes this to finding Susan. Right. So we're going to start that, Susan Powell, and we're going to now switch gears, and I'll just talk a little bit about information I found out about Lori Vallow and how she basically, the law doesn't really affect her as far as we can tell from what we found out about her. So I'm going to start with 2009. A civil court finds Lori in contempt and charges her with judicial interference for disobeying a child custody agreement with Joseph Ryan in regards to Tylee. So this is what I found. This is where this started, and she just has no, she doesn't care about the law. She doesn't care what a court tells her to do. She's just going to do what she wants.
And we found out that when she had a court order to bring the kids.
Right. Yeah, it's just her pattern. So Lori is also found guilty in 2009 of 7 different civil contempt orders. So again, and this is per Prosecutor Wood and the information he has. Then in July 27th of 2011, Lori calls and cancels a July 30th court order psych evaluation appointment, saying that her sister in another state gave birth to a baby with a medical complication and Lori was leaving town to be with her sister. Lori requested to change her appointment to October 4th. So there you go for that.
I wonder if that was true or something.
I don't know. We have to look who would have been born in 2011 to her sister. It would have been her other sister, Summer.
Summer, yeah.
So I guess we can look into that and see if she actually did have a baby. Then July 30th of 2011, Lori was originally scheduled for a court-ordered psych eval in relation to a custody case concerning Charles Vallow's two sons. She canceled this, saying she was going out of town. Again, she's got better things to do. She doesn't have to go to court. July 31st, a psychologist decides to call Lori to schedule an appointment earlier after concern that Lori is a flight risk was brought up in court. So another psychologist is trying to get her in to evaluate her. August of 2011, Lori showed up early for a psych evaluation appointment. Well, there you go. She made up for it. She got there early.
Oh, jeez.
August 5th of 2011, Lori's ex-husband, Joseph Ryan, files petition to modify child custody, parenting time, and child support in Maricopa County, Arizona Family Court. Joe Ryan claims Lori will not let him see his daughter Tylee despite their custody agreement. Then on August 13th, a process server serves Lori with the August 5th petition through serving her husband Charles Vallow the document. Through serving her husband Charles Vallow, so he gave Charles the document. Mm-hmm. The document ordered Lori to undergo psychological evaluation after she told social workers death would be an option before giving Tylee to her father, Mr. Joseph Ryan, even for a visit.
Whose death? Hers or Tylee's?
No, Joe.
Oh, Joe.
Wait, no, I guess it would be hers. Death would be an option before giving Tylee. Yes, so she'd rather die than give. Okay, they could have just said that, but. The document goes on to say these are real and serious concerns.
Yeah.
A civil court again in 2011 finds Lori in contempt and charges her with judicial interference for disobeying a child custody agreement with Joseph Ryan in regards to Tylee. One thing I want to ask is, because she's in contempt, how many, they must have, when you get a parking or you get a ticket, they must have 1 million fines for this. Like, she's wasting the court's time, so they would have fined her
or something
every time.
How many times can you do a contempt of court and they just let it go? I don't understand.
I don't either. So then so that's basically, we just wanted to show you her contempt for.
And you can see that when any of the hearing that we've seen her in, that was televised, the smirks on her face. She thinks she's above it all, for whether she's still in the trance where she thinks she's a god, or
at that point she didn't think she was. I don't think
not then, but now. Yeah. I mean, because she just doesn't have any emotion about it.
Yeah. I did find something about Tylee, and she tweeted a photo, and this is near and dear to our heart, just for the fact that it's a picture of her and her friend doing a Charlie's Angels pose, and she captioned it "Partners in Crime." So when I saw that was just like, I hope we can do something if somebody watches or something to help out to really get these people
right, and that's our hope,
in jail for the murder.
That by doing these events, these series that we're doing, that at least somebody will want to talk with us to contribute, give us some information that might help.
Right.
We're just relaying what we're finding. but there are people who may have more in-depth knowledge of them, the dynamics, and you never know what's going to come out. And we're hoping that, as we reach out to people, that they will want to.
And we would love for people to reach out to us as well with information.
Right.
So I do have a couple of things about Lori and Chad meeting, some timelines that might be a little bit different than what we've heard in the past. Approximately, and I can't talk tonight, approximately 2016 or 17, Lori and Chad may have met for the first time as early as 2016 or 17. Lori's friend says in December of 2019 interview that Lori first became obsessed with Chad's books about 4 years ago. And JJ's grandmother, Kay, says in another presser that she believes Lori and Chad might have met in 2016 or 17. So there was probably information that they had that led them to believe that she actually had met him earlier. Chad announces on his blog the release of his autobiography, Living on the Edge of Heaven, discussing his 2 near-death experiences and his interactions with deceased relatives. At the beginning of the book is a dedication to his wife, Tammy, my one and only, Chad writes in the book. He has had visions of himself as an older man helping build New Jerusalem, and I appear to be in better shape in the future than I am now, probably due to a lack of fast food in Zion. But he did lose weight when he met Lori, and they were trying to build New Jerusalem, so
there you go.
Yeah. So family members do say Lori and Chad first met sometime around June of 2017. So even the family saying other family members. And then in the summer of 2017, Chad meets author and podcaster Melanie Gibb for the first time after he speaks at a camp out in northern Utah. So I think we did talk about that. And then Lori and Chad made their first appearance together on a podcast in December of 2017. So there you go.
There's going to be a movie made about this someday.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
for sure.
Yeah.
Should we guess who we think would be
the stars?
Yeah, the stars. All right, well, you'll hear it first here.
Let's see.
It does.
Who do you think should play Chad?
Chad. Oh my gosh. Now I won't remember anybody's names.
How about, what's his name? Val Kilmer?
Val Kilmer?
I don't know. The way,
I can't think of anybody right now. How about Lori?
Lori, Reese Witherspoon.
I think that's perfect.
Can that be perfect?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but Lori is attractive.
Yeah.
I have to give her that.
Yeah. And another thing about that, I know people say how Chad just looks, and people are always talking about his looks when we have comments, and not always, but some people comment, and even online people comment about that. And my take on that is it is easier to feel that someone that doesn't look as beautiful or as attractive could do harm. It's harder to think about someone like Lori being that diabolical.
Yes.
I couldn't even say that. Diabolical. So when people aren't as attractive, it's easier for, I guess, your psyche to think, oh, there's something wrong with them. And I could see that. But when you have someone like her,
maybe that's why she kept getting all those contempt charges and nothing was ever done.
Yeah, because people let her go. Just like Ted Bundy. I mean, you look at him and...
For sure.
It's just easier to believe someone that isn't as attractive could do these bad things.
Right.
So when people say that, I don't necessarily think that they're... I mean, yes, it is mean comments. They are mean comments, but I think it's just a stress reliever to feel like, oh my gosh, you have to look a certain way to do these bad things, as opposed to being the person that you might find down the street that you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden something bad happens and you're like, I didn't see that coming. So that's more scary, I guess, than to have someone that doesn't look as good. So do you have anything else for today?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And again, all the comments, aren't they awesome?
Yeah, we love the comments.
Oh,
we love the comments. And we are going to start, we get some questions that we have to really research to answer.
Yeah.
And we will begin doing that.
For sure.
So keep them coming because we're going to delve into them.
And we did have somebody ask that's, and I want to look into this. Somebody did ask if Chad is found guilty in Tammy's murder, what happens with that money that he got for life insurance? Does he have to give that back? So I'll have to look into that, and maybe we'll have that answer in our next video. Okay? All right. Well, until next time, bye.